This is a story all about how our lives got twisted, turned upside down because a cat murdered us.
Yeah, that's the conclusion to this story, to this
so
series.
Lame. I regret.
No, it's okay. I was like, it's happening. I was like, here we go. I think that's good. So, I guess we're the lady killers.
I'm Kaitlyn.
Oh yeah, I'm Genene. That was Mitsuha. That's my cat, Mitsuha.
She's new.
She's in our little studio today, and so there's a very real possibility she might wreak some havoc. We'll see, I guess. Today I have a glass of water in a wine glass because I worked from 4:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. today at work, and I just want water. Like, I don't know.
See, I was at the beach all day, so I'm sick of water. I also just drank a lot in general. I had like a peach Bellini and a pina colada and a strawberry daiquiri.
That sounds lit. Like, I'm kind of sad that wasn't my day today.
For 3 hours.
I did. So like, I went to sleep. I mean, I went to work for 12 hours. And then I came home and I was reading and I just kind of like dozed off, and then I woke up and it was like 3 hours later.
What were you reading?
This book, it's called Shatter Me by, her name's Tahira.
Wait, you told me you were reading.
Yeah. It's Tahira Mafi. I want to say I pronounced her name. I've read this series like 3 times.
She highly recommends.
Yeah, highly recommend. Janine's book club. Fucking love. But no, I really like, just because I like talking about this book series, it's really good. It's really good.
It's really good.
I was trying to like collect my thoughts, and I just say things are good. It's good.
She's like condescending to me and the book that she really likes. She's like, that's how you know if Genene likes you. She just like casually condescends. That's not true. She's the nicest person.
I just like, I have no other like
she's just
adjectives besides good sometimes. I'm just like, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's really good. It's good.
Like, it's a strong good.
But that's like a good. I did it to myself just now. It's like, it's a compliment from me. I'm like, that's good. Anywho,
what are we here for
moving
today?
on from our little book club, I am talking about Lydia Sherman.
Give me the facts. Give me the car facts.
So, Lydia Sherman, my girl Lydia Sherman. One of my favorite, Lydia
Sherman. Sherman Wallaby Way.
My favorite thing about her is she has a lot of like, people give her all these like nicknames. Like, okay, so one of them is the Derby Poisoner, the Poison Queen, the Poison Fiend, and America's Queen Killer, which I just love. Like, I
like
think
how it
it's
goes
so
like
funny.
poisoner, and then someone was just like, no. Drop that. She's
queen,
just the queen.
The queen.
She is the
killer.
Beyonce of murder.
Yeah. She's actually pretty brutal. She's kind of like a cold hard bitch, if you will. It's kind of... It's kind of funny.
Someone needs to be.
Yeah, right? Okay, so
not murdery, but someone needs to be a cold hard bitch.
Yeah, someone. So
helps.
She lived December 24th. That's Christmas Eve, is it not?
Yeah.
December 24th, 1824 to May 16, 1878. Guys, I'm so tired. I'm like, that's a date.
What?
A holiday? So she was 53. She killed between 1863 and 1877. So that's a 14-year span, and it happened in New York City.
Oh.
So she was described to be very unassuming and charming. So like a cute little lady. And at the age of 18, she was married to her first husband, Edward Struck, in 1842, who already had 6 kids and was almost 20 years older than her before they married, and had 8 kids of their own. He's in his like early 40s or late 30s kind of thing.
And we'll just keep adding to the collection.
Like, fucking, why the fuck not, right?
She's like, this is what misogyny tells me I'm here for.
Yeah,
so
why not?
But then she's like, let me prove them wrong.
You could, yeah, for sure. That was completely incoherent. So in 1860...
You're like, sure? I'm like, sure, Kaitlyn.
I'm trying to like converse, and I'm just like, yeah, good. So, in 1863, when their youngest was still a baby, Edward was laid off as his job as a police officer, and he fell into some depression. After this, he wasn't able to find a job, and after deciding that they were both being put under too much stress, both financially and emotionally, Lydia decides something has to be done.
She's like, kill him.
That's exactly.
I get it. He can't provide.
So she kills him.
So misogyny is a hard road, in my view. So the thing is, if like she's doing her part of the deal, I get where she's coming from. She's like, I produced you 8 kids. And misogyny's like, yo, that's your job. You're a homemaker. You make the home.
Yeah.
So she made a home. She was like, let me add to it. Dude gets laid off. And she's like, you're supposed to be the provider. So now we're going to find a new one. And that's why misogyny is toxic. Because no one should
Except that it wasn't his fault that he got laid off and he had depression. I get what you're saying, though.
None of those things are his fault. But misogyny and the patriarchy goes, I don't care.
Okay.
And it goes, it's your fault.
Yeah.
See, patriarchy has no sympathy for not your fault and mental illness. The patriarchy goes, no.
No. Mm-mm.
No, you don't get to cry, sir.
Not you, sir.
Your wife will poison you instead, and it's fine.
You better suck it the fuck up because you are the provider. And
she's mad.
She's gonna kill you via arsenic, so...
Why not? Why not? Just arsenic.
That's my favorite thing about her is that she's brutal, but she's also kind of... I don't know if maybe matter of fact is... You'll see what I mean. Sorry, I keep on stomping on your foot.
I'm very honest.
Yeah, she kind of is. It's kind of hilarious. So her perspective is that it's kind of like... Her whole tagline was that she wanted to put them out of their misery. She just kind of gets it done. She just kind of does it. So she mixes a thimbleful of rat poison, a thimbleful. Like, that was like in her confession. I just, thimbleful. Yeah.
She's like, I'm measuring this shit out.
Seriously. So she mixes a thimbleful of rat poison into his oatmeal, and after many hours of vomiting, diarrhea, et cetera, he dies.
So I'm still like just picturing her as like Gwyneth Paltrow, who I know you hate.
I do.
And I'm just like picturing her like having a goop.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like picturing Lydia having like a Gwyneth Paltrow-esque like cookbook. Just put a thimble, like, you know, and then you'll have
right in
your oatmeal, and then you just have a dead husband.
Yeah, in just a couple hours.
In just a couple hours. You just wait. It is a very short prep time, long cook time, but like if this is what you want, high reward.
I think that's probably what she's doing. I think that's probably a good thing. According to her published confession, instead of committing him to an asylum because of his depression, she decided to put him out of the way as he would never be any good. Which is kind of sad.
That's hard.
Yeah. That's
mean.
Yeah. For his depression because he got laid off. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So she's crazy. Also, I don't know if that's a sign of like mental illness and like the knowledge of mental illness and stuff at the time. If someone was depressed, they were just like asylum, you know?
Yeah, but it tended to be like I think it's always really interesting how like the asylums are really catered towards like women's diseases. So it's like very much like depression in men, it was just like seen differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so it's just like it wasn't.
It still is now, I think.
It is, yeah, and I think it's still just like you're kind of expected to just get over it, whereas like women, you're committed. Mm-hmm. So like I think maybe that was part of the contract she's like dealing with, where it's like that's not sympathetic. That's literally like you're still gross, and you could have just like had him committed, which would have been horrible because the asylums are awful at this time. But like it's still better than dying. My point being that it's just like, I think maybe it's like mental illness for men was still just seen as like...
Well, that's kind of like what we were joking about, but like actually seriously.
No, like genuinely, I kind of actually believe a lot of what I was saying, where it's like, there's a legitimate problem where she probably was viewing it very much in terms of like the economy of like sexuality, where it's like this sexual economy, where it's like women bring this to the table and men need to bring this, and then he wasn't able to bring this because like he had a mental illness and he got laid off to no fault of his own. Yeah. And then she's like, well, you can't bring anything to the table now.
She literally says in her confession he wouldn't be good for anything.
Yeah, which literally sounds like she's just kind of espousing a really misogynistic view of like what he needs to bring to a marriage.
Yeah. She kind of is just like, okay, well, I guess I'll kill that one off and get a new one.
But I think you're right that it's like, I think like with men, it's like, it was just viewed differently.
Yeah.
That like with women, you just put them away. With men, it's like, get over it, or like just you don't.
Which is both Both is not good.
Both are bad.
Both are bad.
I would argue probably equally bad, seeing
Yeah.
as men were just like kind of left to like squander in mental illness.
Yeah.
Unless it was so bad that they were committed.
Yeah.
Or if they like did a violent offense, but then women were like sent to insane asylums for like PMSing.
Yeah.
Like really like genuinely like menstruation was considered a reason like grounds to be committed, which is like interesting.
Yeah. Times are fucked, you know. I think this is the mid 1800s.
Yeah.
So with him checked off her laundry list of people to poison, I write. She realizes, I know, she realizes she just murdered her only source of income.
She right.
Leaving her and her 6 remaining children without support. So note the oldest son, John, had moved out, and daughter Josephine had died due to mysterious illnesses years before. Some believe that Lydia was her first victim.
Yeah.
It's not confirmed, but like you saw some, you know, it's a good assumption. So Lydia decided the 3 youngest children could do nothing and would be better out of the way. So Edward, this is kind of sad. Edward, age 3. William, 9 months, and Martha, age 6, all die from poisoning in a single day. So Lydia collects their life insurance money, and she plays up her role as a distraught widow, and no one suspects a thing.
Yeah, she's definitely at least a sociopath.
Yeah.
Total manipulation. What?
So that's kind of, she definitely is kind of looking out for herself, because she's like, okay, well, my husband was depressed and didn't have a job, so I got rid of him. But now I don't have someone to provide for my children.
To get rid of
so I need to get rid of the children because I can't provide for them.
And then, like, I'll get a new beau, I guess, because I'm a single lady without lots of kids.
Yeah. A doctor in town gives the grieving widow a job as a nurse.
Oh, that's exactly what she needs, to be a nurse.
For sure.
That's the job I'd give to her.
Arsenic hoe. So Lydia Arsenic hoe Sherman.
Artist.
I'm underappreciated as an artist.
I'm an artist.
Yes. So over the next few months, her 3 remaining kids fall ill, potentially by her doing. She doesn't like to see them suffer, so she takes upon herself to put them out of their misery and poisons them all. So it's unknown if they had some kind of sickness like the flu or a cold.
It sounds as if that's probably what it is, because if she's like, put them out of their misery, I doubt it's that she poisoned them and then was all like,
I want to
do it more.
I want to, in my head, I feel like they maybe had a cold or some kind of just
probably
like mild
like
illness.
Stupid, yeah.
And she was like,
why would I deal with this?
Yeah.
I have to go to the apothecary.
Yeah, she's like, gotta put them out of their misery.
I don't want to go to CVS.
No.
Like, she's like, can get some, like,
that's so much money.
What's the flu meds? Like, she's like, I don't want to get Tamiflu.
I don't want some NyQuil.
She's like, you should just save us all the trouble.
Yeah, that's...
And by all of us, me.
Yeah, herself. In 1867... Lydia moves to Stratford, Connecticut.
She's like, I'm a single woman all alone in the world.
Mm-hmm. So she moves to Stratford, Connecticut, fresh slate for a nursing job, where she meets an older but very wealthy man named Dennis Hurlburt. And after they marry, and after he convinces her that he was all that he was worth. So he's a rich man. Yeah. If you see where this is going.
She's like, I have a plan.
Right. So over time, Hurlburt started experiencing typical old age side effects, and Lydia, once again not wanting to see him suffer, ends his pain via arsenic and then inherits his $30,000 estate, which in today's currency is $500,000. So that's $500,000 at his estate alone. That's very good. And I'm pretty sure she cashes in on his life insurance as well.
Honestly, she's just a hero. He was just a weak old man, and she was like,
"That's the thing.
Just so kind."
I know. Well, that's the thing about Lydia that is just a little bit funny to me, that because it's all just kind of a matter of business. Like, she might have been a little bit of a gold digger. I don't know if it was that at first. But and then she was like, oh, I can get money from all this life insurance.
Feel like she gets anything from killing them. Like, poisoning is definitely, like, not a, like, stabby stab kind of, like, murder where you're getting something, like, kind of like sexual out of it. Like, and I guess women don't tend to go that path anyway.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really interesting about the fact that it definitely does feel like it's all business.
It's all
like,
seems just kind of like,
this is just what I have to do to get ahead.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just like, okay.
That's kind of how I feel too. Or it's like she doesn't really seem even like malicious. If you know what I mean.
I honestly think if they were still giving her something, she wouldn't kill them. Like I don't think it's like she wants to kill people. I think it's like, which is almost this is almost grosser that she's just like, I have no urge. There's no like primal urge in me. It's just I know that this is the easiest way to fix my problems.
Yeah, you're right. It's just
which is a little grosser, I think, actually, in a weird way.
It is kind of weird. I think that's what makes her interesting, because she's just kind of like,
She's
like had to do it. Seemed easy. It
was the right answer at the time.
Yeah, she's just trying to get ahead. No more than 8 weeks later, she's twice widowed at this point. She hears of a fella in town who had recently lost his wife. She applies for a job as his housekeeper and children's nanny, and within a month they had been married. So it turns out Horatio was somewhat of a drunk, and one night after several drinks, he confesses that he would rather see his sick son just die instead of having to suffer. And Lydia's like,
we are a match made.
She's like, oh, I got you.
I have cured many people of this vague term suffering. Whatever that is.
Yeah,
I have cured them. I am a hero. The truth is, the one cure for suffering is get rid of them.
So that's
and he's like, you right.
I know. Well, I literally put in here, you don't have to tell Lydia twice. Sorry, let's laugh at myself for a second. Because I wrote this like 2 months ago and I forgot that I wrote that.
We just make the same cheesy jokes no matter what.
So she poisons the child's milk and he passes within a day. So a few months later, Horatio's daughter unfortunately comes down with what seemed to be a cold or a flu. Lydia,
like, I have some Tamiflu for you.
Yes, Lydia, ever sympathetic, ends her suffering by poisoning her. Horatio, obviously distraught by the death of both of his children.
He's like,
and already inclined to heavy drinking, upgraded to binge drinking over the course of a week, which Lydia could not stand for.
She's like, dude, you gotta just hold it together.
Yeah, please.
Your life is easier now.
Yeah, like that's why I married you, so you could like take care of my problems. So that on top of Horatio's apparent unwillingness to spend Herbert's fortune forces her to decide to make him sicker than liquor would. So she poisons his brandy, and he dies soon after. So this time, someone realizes that something's not right, that she's literally just wreaking havoc. This is like, I don't know, fucking...
They're brilliant.
Whoever it is. Later,
Sherlock Holmes.
Yes. Years later, they finally realize...
Is Harriet the spy around? Like,
I know.
Damn.
Yeah, for sure. So a local physician notices his and his children's, Horatio's, and his children's quick deaths and orders an autopsy.
Smart.
They find poisoning in his body, so they decide to perform autopsy on the Sherman children as well as Herbert, and find traces of arsenic in their bodies as well. Yeah. So Lydia is convicted after the evidence is uncovered and gets a life sentence in jail.
Good.
Because at this point, she's killed how many people?
Like...
3 husbands, as well as 8 children, 6 of which were her own. Yeah, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 people she killed.
Jesus, Liddy.
All just very, like, cold-bloodedly, like, just to get ahead. So, in 1877, Lydia escapes jail.
No.
But is soon found out to already been together with a wealthy widower, and is luckily sent back to jail before Lydia makes him her 4th victim. Lydia ends up not serving her life sentence in full, and she dies in 1878 from cancer. So that's it.
That's one of those where you're kind of like disappointed that they die of like cancer.
Yeah.
You're like, you should spend every day.
Put yourself out of your misery.
Yeah. I think that's what her body did. I think her body was all like, I want to be out of my misery, her cells say. So they're like, let's just expedite this.
Yeah. I just think it's really interesting. She's just so like... I keep on saying this, but just so matter of fact. She's just like, it's like just kind of like, it's like a business deal. Like, you know, like How to Succeed in Business or something like that.
She's like heartless, but it's kind of an amusing heartlessness where you're just like,
I hate to say it's funny, but it's kind of funny.
She's kind of funny. I think it's because it's so long ago.
True.
I think it's easier
I can disassociate from it.
It's easy to detach from things that happened in like the 1800s. Yeah, you can like totally separate yourself and be like, that's weird. Like it's like things with Jack the Ripper can be funny and stuff like that because it was so long ago.
Right.
Whereas like Zodiac Killer or even like Son of Sam, it's recent enough.
That's why like none of my Miyuki was the most recent one, and that was still that I've done, and that was still like 1940s,
right?
So I don't know. I think I get too stressed out researching the more recent ones.
Those are the ones I'm more interested in just because of like the emotional appeal.
I think I like hearing those more, but whenever it comes to like having to present them, I'm like, some of them are still alive. Some of them are being released.
The older ones, like for me, I'm just always all like, because I kind of want to make jokes about them a little bit because they're so old that I'm always just like, hopefully no one thinks I'm being like insensitive. It's just like, it's so long ago that you're kind of like, God, like it's easy different.
It's easy to kind of like think of it as like a show or something, or just a story. You know, it's not like, oh, this actually happened. Like if we read a case that was, you know, in the past like 30 years or so of like the same shit, it would terrify me a lot more.
Like all the poisoning cases that are like recent, because women still like to poison. Like that's our method of choice.
True.
It's always like really disconcerting, like where they're like just poisoning, and they always poison like mass numbers of people. Like women are pretty effective when they're trying to be poisoners. Like you can go for a pretty long time.
Girls are shady. Girls can be pretty shady.
Because it's less like you're not as likely to leave like fingerprint evidence like everywhere and like blah blah blah. Like stabbing someone or a gun, it's easier to leave like tons and tons of DNA evidence. Like walk around in blood. Whereas like you can just poison someone you don't. I'm not saying that you should, but you could like poison someone you don't even really know. Just for a thrill kill, and then it's like. You don't even have to be there when they die. Yeah. Like, you can
you just
leave.
Know. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's kind of like generally guys tend to kill more of crimes of passion or less sexually or just like they have a lot of rage.
There's a lot of like sexuality in terms of like stabbing. Like, I mean, like everyone always talks about, but like guns and knives are really phallic. Yeah. Like, especially like in literature, but I think genuinely in real life, like, a lot of times when they do profiles, like, those are considered really phallic objects and, like, have to do with, like, sexual aggression. Whereas, like, women, it definitely feels more just, like, meticulous when they do it. It's more like, I'm just being practical. Yeah. And you're just like...
that's a good way to put it. That's good.
Like, I'm just being reasonable.
Yeah.
I just want the best life I can.
That's so funny because it is kind of like... And all cases are different, obviously, but that was what made me want to do women killers so badly. Because a lot of them are just kind of like almost all of the ones that we did. Let's see, who did we do? We did Lydia, we did Miyuki, I did Marie Manning,
I did Catherine Knight, who's probably our closest thing to a passion killer.
Right.
Because she's all knives and cannibalism.
Right. Oh, right.
But then we have, like, Tyler Witt, who doesn't even stab her mom, but she has, like, a reason, like, clear reasons for wanting to.
But she also gets someone else to do it for her.
Yeah, she gets someone else, too. And then, like, we have Edith
Thompson.
Yeah, who...
doesn't necessarily get someone else to do it for her, but it's not
It's
her
also...
murder.
Her thing is very complicated. Yeah. I'm rough to call her a murderer.
Yeah.
It's like so I think it's interesting because, I think you're right. Like, at least 4 out of the 6, it's rough to say that they were very...
They either got someone else to do their dirty work, which, I mean, even with, like, Marie Manning, like, she kind of started it, but then she got her husband to come and kind of, like, finish it up for her, too. And to be fair,
even, like, with Catherine Knight, who was probably her most passionate, she also was very meticulous. So it's not even, like... She has the whole thing, like, super planned out. And in her mind, I think it is kind of practical. Because we were talking about the lingerie thing, like, to back up where she's like, I'm going to give him kind of basically an ultimatum on his life. Which I think is a really weirdly practical way of looking at things. Yeah. Where it's all, like, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
If he can fix it, it's fine. Whereas, like, I think, like, men, there's less of that. It's more of, I have me on my mind.
Yeah, and, like, for sure there are serial killers who their MO is very meticulous and is very planned out.
Yeah.
But it also happens that a lot of them are just kind of, like, wrong time, wrong place, you know, or they weren't really, like, planning on it, but then they were like, the opportunity presents itself, if you will, and they go through with it. Whereas, like, women are just, they're a little, like...
And this is a generalization, obviously.
No, this is super generalization. It's just kind of like...
It's interesting, because it does seem, especially in the older cases, that it's like there's a practical, oftentimes financial reason for doing things. It's something genuinely there that I think there's... it's not consistent, and obviously when, like, because you have Eileen Wuornos, who's kind of random, and, like, blah, blah, blah. There are, like, exceptions to every rule, but I do think it's interesting that, like, the majority of these cases, it seems, at least the ones that we covered, there seems to be a practicality, and it seems to be, like, there's a cut and dry reason why you have to commit this murder. And it's not
right. It's not right. Like,
it's not right, but there's a rationale and a weird, twisted, gross logic.
Yeah. So, like, Marie wanted the fortune, Miyuki, there was too many orphans. It's funny to see the parallels, like, very different stories, but, like, I just kind of, on average, what it seems to be the norm for men and women killers. You know, I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
I think women killers get kind of overlooked a lot.
There are so many men killers that they all sound a lot alike to me.
No, it gets so boring.
Like, we're being completely honest. Like, it's all a lot of the same.
And it's all just like and I'm sorry, like, trigger warning, but it's always just like, oh, they sexually assaulted this girl or, like, this other man, like Jeffrey Dahmer, and then they
get off
murdered
to killing
them.
someone.
Yeah, and it's always sexual, and you're, I mean, not always. I guess, like, Zodiac killer's not particularly, like, sexual as far as we can tell.
A lot of times it is sexual.
But, like, for men, it does seem to be, like, an impotency sort of kind of thing where it's, like, they can't get off in any other way.
Yeah.
I think that's weird that it's a sexual aggression sort of thing. But I do think it's interesting. And, yeah, I get kind of bored because I'm like, oh, God, what's the difference between, like, Ed Kemper and, like...
I was just thinking of him,
you know, and I can't remember.
And like, boring strictly from a storytelling perspective.
And to totally go off of that, not boring in a sense that, like, there are actual victims of those cases, and their stories are just as interesting and deserve just as much, like, focus as any other victims.
Yeah.
It's just we hear about them a lot.
Yeah.
I think there are just other victims that, like, don't get their say as much and don't get their time on stage, and I think that's something that's really sad. I definitely think there is a narrative where it's like we care a little bit more about, like, white women that die.
Yeah.
And I think when it's a person of color, when it's even, like, a man, I think we're less likely to care.
That's a good point.
And I think to give I don't know, I think part of feminism is, like, admitting when, like, we don't treat men right. I think most feminists would agree.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we're quick to not care when it's an adult man that, like, is the victim.
That's a good point.
We have this kind of, like, weird damsel in distress thing we do with white girls that die.
Yeah.
Young girls and women.
Yeah.
But the older you get, the less we care.
And also it's like...
And that's horrible, and I think that's something we need to educate ourselves
on. There's
on.
some case in particular I'm thinking of. I'm so bad with remembering details, but this younger black girl got murdered, and the police just didn't hardly, like, try to find their killer. And I want to say it's this particular one I'm thinking of is still unsolved. They didn't, like, really try, you know, like as they could have if it was, like, a young white girl or white boy.
Or as they do when it's a young white girl or a young white boy. Young white boys they care about, too. The younger you are, the younger and whiter you are, the more likely we are to care no matter your gender. But the older you get, the more
it's a runaway, too.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. No, that's a big problem, that they're, like, very inclined to consider everyone that's, like, a teenager with any kind of past, specifically if you're a person of color. Oh, God. No, it's like, we could go on and on and on.
I know. And it's kind of funny because we're talking very broadly about racism and misogyny and kind of, like, because it's a lot of, like, the same type of problems over Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
trying to say?
no,
Do you know
and
what
I
I'm trying
think
to say?
that's what
Because
excites me
we're
about,
kind
like,
of talking about like this right now.
And
But
I think what's interesting about like true crime, and I think why I'm so excited about like this channel in general, and I think it's good to say it like now, and even like about paranormal crimes and stuff like that, like crimes, but paranormal activities and the entire spectrum. Even
for
like
once and for
no,
all.
but like there's some interesting when you get into like paranormal analysis. There's some really interesting like weird racial politics and like ghosts.
Really?
Yeah, gender politics.
ghosts.
Yeah, like you see. I don't know if you like, because I believe in ghosts, but it's also like I also understand that like the human mind can also play tricks on you. So I like always take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah. But it is interesting that like women figures are seen crying more. Okay. That it's like that they seem to always have lost a lover. That it's like their narrative arc seems to be really, really similar like all the time.
Died of heartbreak.
Yeah. Whereas like men tend to be like war heroes and stuff like that.
You're right. Now that you say it, you're right.
Yeah, so it's really, really interesting. Even like in modern day stuff where you have like more modern ghosts, you kind of see similar arcs, and there's a lot of like gender politics there, racial politics. You don't tend to see very many people of color, honestly, as ghosts.
You're right.
It always tends to be like random white Victorian people, which doesn't seem.
You're not wrong. No.
I would expect to see more like
I watch a lot of ghost adventures, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, huh. You're right.
So there's some weird.
I can't think of any not white person ghost off the top of my head.
So there's some weird racial politics and gender politics in ghosts.
In ghosts?
It's really strange.
Okay.
And like I think that's the reason why I like this kind of stuff, because you can start a conversation. Like a serious political conversation about our society and like where we are as people, about like something that doesn't seem obvious that you could, because this stuff gets so easily written off as like macabre and weird, and like, why are you talking about murder? Why are you talking about ghosts? Like you're so freaking weird. And it's like, no, like this is a way to talk about bigger issues. Yeah. Like, and it doesn't have to be. Like, it's also just fun. Mm-hmm. But like, and it's interesting, and it's educating yourself about history and people. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, because I'm always trying to explain to people like why I like talking about serial killers so much and stuff. But that's a good way to put it, because it's really interesting, and there's a lot of like, it very rarely is just a murder. Like it's
almost never just a murder.
There's always, and it's different for every story, but there's always.
And even when it is a murder, just a murder, that's almost interesting in itself. Mm-hmm. Like, why would someone just like, because, like, for instance, when it's just a one-off and it's just like, why? Like, why this random? Like, why? Because there's a couple I can think of that are a little bit like randoms and one-offs, and you're just kind of like, why? Yeah. Like, why did you choose to do that? Yeah. That's super bizarre. And I think those are like really interesting in themselves.
Something snaps in you. To be willing to take a human life.
A person you don't even know.
And I guess, you
don't have passionate feelings about them either way.
It's nice to talk about these things, because anytime I bring up, I was kind of getting to this earlier, but like serial killer stuff, and like how I try to tell people that like one of my passions is serial killers.
Like the entire exercise of having this YouTube.
I know, I have to be like, okay, bear with me. You gotta understand, like, the psychology behind it, if you think about it, it's really, really interesting. And it's nothing more than, like, I mean, I grew up watching, like, Cold Case with my mom and Criminal Minds and stuff. Like, people are okay with that, but as soon as you're talking about, like, actual serial killers and psychology, like...
No, it's like, I think true crime is an exercise in psychology and sociology and history, and like if you dig it, it's actually just like a really cool mental exercise that's also fun and also interesting to talk about. So I don't people really judge that one. Like,
as we proved today, there is a lot of like, when you think about it, when you dissect things, there is a lot of underlying misogyny, perhaps misandry in some cases, I'm sure. Racism for sure. I don't know, like prejudice against sex workers, etc.
Tons of prejudice against sex workers.
We have not even mentioned LGBT.
Oh gosh, and we're getting there. Like, we're gonna forewarn that one. That one's eventually gonna happen. Yeah. We're really excited to do an LGBT series.
Yeah. But yeah, this has gone a few different places. I don't think we were expecting it
It's
to.
exciting.
But I'm glad that it did. Because it kind
These
of
are the conversations we need to have on this channel and like in general.
Yeah, I like being open about talking about these things and debating them and stuff.
I agree.
Like, Kaitlyn's one of the most woke people I know.
Gosh.
I keep saying woke. What a term. But like, you know, I'm just always. I might not always understand things, but I just try to be as loving as I can.
Woke.
You know,
You're pretty woke.
I try to be as understanding. I try to be as loving. Like, that's my thing. Is just.
I think that's what wokeness is. It's like being empathetic and listening to the plights of other people, and trying to get it. Like, and trying to be the best. I think this stuff keeps you woke.
Yeah.
Like, I think true crime stuff keeps you aware of the evils of the world and helps you, I think, see it a little clearer, which is, if there's any moral reason to be invested in this kind of stuff, I would say that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
The more aware you are of evils, the better you are at spotting them.
You're right. I am scared a lot.
But you're scared because you know.
Yeah, I
know what's out there.
I lock my doors. I check in my back seat before I get in the car.
They're real monsters, and they look like people.
Yeah.
And they don't look strange. I mean, Ted Bundy was someone's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like he looked like a normal dude.
Yeah.
And like, there's just no way to know. And you have to be aware of the monsters that are out there, because like, whether it's like the KKK or if it's like a murder, which I mean, the KKK is a murdering operation,
but a specific murder.
You know, like neo-Nazis look like normal everyday people, but they're pure evil.
Yeah.
And I think, you just have to be aware that like the most evil person in the room could look just like you.
How do I say, like, cautious of people, but also be trusting of some people. Do you know what I mean?
Give people the benefit of the doubt, but still have some reasonable doubt all the time that someone might hurt you.
Okay, well, I think that's
it, right?
I think that's it.
You killed it, dude, and we killed this conversation.
I know, this was good. Mitsuha, you killed it. You didn't wreak quite as much havoc
as we thought
you were going to. Oh, baby girl.
Brian.
Okay, I don't want it to look like I'm a bad cat mom and just like holding you against your will, but I also think you're adorable and I want the world to see you. So I love it. I love it.
If you enjoyed that video and all we talked about, make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Please hit the bell notification icon if you want to get notifications every time we post a video. And
Instagram. Yeah, I guess we will see you guys later. Bye. Yes, very good. Oh, here, come here, baby.
Jump.
She's an acrobat, I swear.
Jump man.
Yeah, there she goes.
Girl.
Okay. All right,
raise your hands in the air.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye. Okay, cool.